Hey, good morning. It is December 9th, 2024, and I am Adam Blue, um, host of the Blue Gamer Bluecast morning show, 30 plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. I'll use this time to talk about the latest gaming news, maybe show some gameplay, talk about what I've been playing. So, yeah, hopefully everyone had a good weekend. I was at the Anime Frontier Expo, which was a lot of fun. Hey, Talos Mobius, good to see you. Glad you could join. But yeah, I was at the Anime Frontier. It's an anime expo that's for anime. But I mainly go because they have the Gundam base there. So I got to go to the Gundam base, brought the family with me. That was a lot of fun. Got some cool stuff, including nothing video game related though, but including, okay, this is on its stand pretty good, but this, what's called a new Gundam. Just a really cool iteration of it in its sort of action figure form. It's like a Marvel Legends type thing. But yeah, and there's some other things too. Like I got the Odo Island Godzilla. I thought that was pretty cool. Hey, Steven and Midnight Hatter, good to see you. So, the main thing I wanted to do today, which, that's funny, which is it's not going to happen, and that was to play some Indiana Jones, because I had it installed and updated and ready to go, and then I launched it this morning, and then it's like unpacking. It's like one of those things you kind of forget that exist in gaming, so... I mean, if it gets done in time, I'm going to uncheck this just in case. If it gets done and I have some time, but I feel like I would need a good 30 minutes if we were going to see what happens at the beginning, because there's going to be cutscenes and all that. So I might wait till tomorrow, but then tomorrow is the new Power Rangers game that I'm excited about. I wanted to share that as well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Hey, Fulcrum, good to see you. Okay. So to talk about what I was playing this past weekend... So I actually beat Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. I loved the first one. This one I thought was fine, but I mean everything about it is good. It's just strange that like I kind of forced myself to beat it because I'm like, you know what, this is actually pretty easy. This is just, for me, a third-person shooter that has a campaign is kind of like, my thing in terms of I can just jump in, play it, and beat it. So to get an idea, it took me 9 hours and 25 minutes to beat the game. And it could have been shorter if it wasn't for some bugs I came across, where there was one time I was on a level where the next objective didn't start. So I was just sitting there shooting this boss the whole time, although the boss was supposed to disappear and make this orb appear that I go up to and activate, and it never happened. So I'm just sitting there shooting the boss, and it was going on for maybe 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, this shouldn't be taking that long. And so, yeah, sure enough, later I restarted that checkpoint. Luckily, it was right at the boss, and yeah, the boss goes away immediately, and yeah, so that was weird. So it did come up with a couple bugs, but I would say that this is a very well-made game, 100%. Like, if you were telling a company we need a good third-person shooter, they made it. I think it's just maybe I'm at the point where there needs to be more to it. Like, Helldivers is a good example of, like, that is so well-made and so fun. But I quickly got my fill of it and then moved on. Even though I think Helldivers is still in the running for the top 5 game of the year for this year. But Space Marine 2 looks absolutely fantastic. Let me see if I can load up some screenshots real quick. Give me a second. Get Steam to launch here. And I like that whole screenshot thing, because if I go to like a game, oh, you know what? I uninstalled it. Let's see. Can I go to view screenshots? Or if I just actually do this. Okay. Just some cool imagery from the game. Like, this looks sick. And it was running so well. I mean, that, like, seeing all the details and everything go on, like, I want to say this is one of the best looking games in terms of, I don't know if it's the art direction. I think it's a perfect merge of the art direction and the fidelity that just bring it together. And this is gameplay right here. This is me flying through space on a jetpack. Things blowing up around me. And I was just like, I need to screenshot that. And just some other cool, like the draw distance, the detail. And there was that complaint I was making before about the game when you're playing the single player campaign, is there's a lot of, you beat the level, now you're back at base. Now go walk over to talk to this guy. Now you're done. Now go back to the next level. And I preferred like the first Space Marine, where it was like a seamless game. Now, later in this game, near the end, it does that, where I thought when I'm done with the level, it actually then brings me to the next part. And I was like, okay, I prefer that, like an adventure. But I guess the setup of that whole going back to your hub, that's for the multiplayer aspect, which I haven't done. And I'm down for that. I guess it's just when I play this game, it's more of I'm into the mechanics to go on an adventure in a single player experience. I'm cool with multiplayer and all that, but I don't know what more I would get other than, oh, there's someone else doing it with me, you know. Maybe I'll try it sometime. Let's see. Yeah, just some cool screenshots all throughout. And the other thing, too, that's interesting is when I get into something, usually, like, I'll buy the collectible with it. And I got some of the Warhammer Space Marine collectibles, and I loved them. But then, I don't know. Playing the game, then I wasn't as interested. Then they actually came out with official Space Marine 2 action figures. I didn't even get those. So there was something in me that was just like, Warhammer Space Marine, you're not really into that as much as you think. So, I don't know. Still worth playing, in my opinion. Still one of the best third-person action games, I think, that's out right now. Tal was saying the multiplayer adds more story and new style of play, which is synergy with your friends. Okay, so that's good that they then have a mechanic involved. Because otherwise, you know, kind of like what I was saying, like, you know, would just be doing the same thing. Maybe one day I'll get to it. I don't know. There's just so many other games, like waiting for this Indiana Jones to load. But I'm actually glad that I got to beat Space Marine 2 before getting into Indiana Jones, because I'm still working on Sonic X Shadow. So let me go back. Did I play any of that this weekend? No. I think that was all December 4th. Wow, that was a while ago. Okay, so going down this list again, I didn't play Minecraft. I think that was my son on the Xbox. Okay, Demons of Asterborg, if that's how you say it. This is pretty interesting. Let me pull this up. When did it come out? It came out 2019. So it's on Steam. It's $10. I bought it for some reason on the Microsoft Store. On PC, because I don't think it, wait, let me look. Did it come out on Steam already, or was it like a deal maybe? Yeah, because it said 2021. Okay, so it's like a delayed release. Okay, I guess this is a good way to kind of show off the game. So it kind of has a Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts look. That was my first thought. But when I play it, I realize it plays more like its own thing. It combines, I think, more Castlevania. And I wouldn't even say Ghosts and Goblins. It's a little too easy in that. The one very interesting thing about this game is how much the music is, and I'm not complaining, but the music is like copied Castlevania music. And I'm not complaining again. Because instead of, and what it's doing is it's taking like maybe a general adventure theme from a Castlevania game, and I would have to go back and connect what song it is, but it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like when people make a riff on music that already exists and they just play it at like a different melody, but it's like the same tempo. Well, no, I don't know how to explain it. That's what they're doing with the music in here. It's Castlevania music, just changed around so you don't immediately recognize it. And I'm not complaining. I think it sounds great. It's a fun game because what's interesting is it doesn't seem like it's a Metroidvania. Yeah, it doesn't say it here. But like when you're in a section, there is exploring to do, so it feels like the mechanics of a Castlevania game I like, where almost like a puzzle, but jump over these platforms to kill some bad guys, to hit a switch, to then kill some bad guys to get to this other area. You know, it does all that stuff. Good game, and it's $9.99. There's a demo. Yeah, I was playing on an Xbox. I might end up getting it on PC. Well, no, it's funny. I do have it on PC. I have it in the Microsoft Store. Again, when I was buying it, I thought I was buying it for the Xbox app, the Xbox on PC, but no, it's like its own app in the Microsoft Store, and the controller doesn't work with it, or a third-party controller doesn't work with it. It's so goofy. So I think playing it on Xbox, it must have been Game Pass or something. Or I wonder if it unlocked that I then owned it there too, you know, because Xbox is pretty good with that. I don't know. All right. But I recommend playing that. Crash Team Racing. So this was fun. This just came out on Game Pass, which is cool. I think this is all part of the, you know, being part of the Microsoft acquisition, Activision. Played with the wife. Let's see what achievements we got here. Customize your ride. Successfully land all 3 missiles from a triple missile power-up. Okay. Yeah, we're playing. I love that it was couch co-op easily. It's, you know, it's like a Mario Kart. It plays different enough to feel a little different than Mario Kart, but familiar enough to feel at home if you really just wanted to play, you know, a Mario Kart style game. Yeah, a lot of fun. And it's interesting because I don't know if this was this like this Nitro Refueled? Let me check if it was re-released at. Yeah, it's saying 2019. Interesting. So I had no idea this had been out this whole time. It's really cool because the graphics are really good. I was surprised how good it looks. Like it almost looks like it's, I mean, even better than Mario Kart, as if they like kind of redid it, which I think they did redo it. So, um, yeah, $40 on PS4. So yeah, if you have Game Pass, that's an easy pickup. And then yeah, that's about it. I didn't play too much because again, I was at that convention, and then you know, family went out a little bit. It was just it's cold and rainy over here, so it's not as entertaining. And then I watched 2 Godzilla movies. I watched Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, and then that was the 2002, and then the 2003. Why am I forgetting what that was called? The one after that, and it's like a sequel. Oh, Tokyo SOS. Yeah, and pretty enjoyable. Let's see. Talos is saying, yeah, due to the class systems, you can't have 3 of the same class because it'll be messy. Oh, interesting. Fulcrum. My buddy just bought an RTX 4090, and it came with that new Indiana Jones game. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. 4090 would be great. I have a 3080 Ti. I bought it 2 years ago. And normally I can get a few years out of a card. I could go pretty far. Like the card I had before that was a 1070 Ti. I had that forever. Yeah. So let's see. I think that's it for what I've been playing. We'll jump into some news. Marvel Rivals gets 10 million players in its first 3 days. That is insane. I didn't know what to expect out of this because, again, it is just a hero shooter. But it is Marvel, and I do think a strong IP can work. And I think Marvel hero shooter makes more sense than a Gundam hero shooter. I think just mechanically. Just the whole concept of you have, it's called a hero shooter. You know, in Gundam, it's just these mobile suits, and those are mechs. And I'm just bringing that up because Gundam Evolution didn't work, which was unfortunate. But I don't know if I'll play this, but I think it's cool that it's doing well. I don't like the design of Blade, but I think it's because I have a bias. I really like Wesley Snipes, his interpretation. That's all I really knew. Oh, look, pads. Okay. This is interesting. Apple and Sony partnering up for Vision Pro controllers, it's claimed. So, okay. Per the recent report, Apple and Sony are collaborating to bring third-party controller support for the Vision Pro, and I don't know what this means. Sony already knows how to make this stuff, and so maybe they just see a manufacturing opportunity to make controllers for Apple. But is there something in the works of Apple and PlayStation, doing something together? I don't know. That'd be interesting to see. The VR thing is very interesting because, again, I'm just reminded how I have these 2 VR games that are really cool that I haven't even bothered playing. There's just something about, okay, put on the VR headset, get it going, get my controllers on. Okay, I got to readjust this. Okay, now I got to go into it. And then, okay, I got to make space to play. Whereas, playing a video game, I just kind of sit at my computer and click play. I wonder if that's a thing. I mean, even when I was playing Squadrons, that was pretty easy because the game was essentially, I think I played it on PSVR. Yeah, I had it on the PS5. Pretty much just had the Thrustmaster joystick, put on the headset, start playing. That's not as bad. I do think there's still this little technology gap in terms of usability, ease of use that they have to get around. And I'm thinking it's just going to be eventually they're going to be so much smaller. It's going to be like a strap with glasses that kind of have a better seal around your eye. Just something that's a little simpler. They'll get there eventually. That's when it'll take off. Okay, so this is interesting. Pal World has changed how Pal spheres work in the game. So this is potentially related. I don't think they said it's exactly related to the lawsuit, but I think that's what they're implying here because that patch came out that did this while this lawsuit's going on. So basically, instead of throwing, I guess, a PAL sphere to summon, I guess when you do the action, it just summons the creature next to you. The only scary thing about this is if they tend to concede to Nintendo's demands on gameplay, we could just see where a future where other developers, game developers, have to hold back or restrict what they can do from what they're inspired by with Nintendo and take it to the next level. A lot of good things that we have in life are based on taking existing ideas and iterating on them. I mean, Pokemon takes from Dragon Quest. Even design-wise. Even I learned from Godzilla. Godzilla got its idea from an American film of a giant monster attacking a city. And it had to do with atomic nuclear blasts or something. And then Japan picked up, ran with it, did Godzilla. And I would even say, with Star Wars coming from, Japanese movies, Gundam coming from Star Wars, coming from, there's this cycle. And I don't like the idea of companies wanting to kind of hold on to these things so much. Let's see. I was about to say the irony is how Pokemon had the idea from Dragon Quest. Yeah. So, I just hope it doesn't affect things more in the future. Okay, so Tencent and the Guillemot brothers, Ubisoft buyout reportedly held up by dispute over control. So this is something, and I've been bringing this up a lot because I'm a fan of Ubisoft. You have a company that's a big AAA publisher that has the original creative leads since the beginning that are still with the company. And they need help, though, just like any AAA studio. Right now, the big publishers are either getting bought out or getting completely new leadership. Ubisoft is one of the OGs where they have the original founders that are still part of it, but they need liquidity. They need some backing, and they're wanting that from Tencent. But I guess the dispute here is the Guillemot brothers still want control. But I think that is required, and I hope Tencent sees that. It's the same thing that happened when Disney bought Lucasfilm, but they didn't buy George Lucas. So now they're scrambling of what to do with Star Wars. Same thing happened with Halo. When Bungie staff started leaving Bungie. This was after I think this was during Halo 2 development. And then, the further Halos, they were still fun, but they got to a point where even now it's none of the creative leads are with Bungie. the Halo games aren't doing that great. Even though I enjoyed this last one that came out, what, 4 or 5 years now? I forget how long. I enjoyed it, but you could see where there was just gaps, there's problems. I mean, this goes with a whole bunch of other studios and stuff, so. Anyway, that's my take. Hopefully it gets somewhere. Problem with Ubisoft is also their current direction, which I think is another interesting part. So it's the AAA studios, a lot of what was going on was a lot of mandates of hiring people for specific reasons, less to do with creative control. That's why a lot of creative leads have been leaving. And they were just it's like they're trying to balance jumping on that train. That's why I was saying, like, all these AAA studios like Activision got bought by Microsoft. And you have EA, their CEO might be leaving, and EA hasn't even had that many great games come out. Like, the AAA studio as a structure is failing, and a lot of it has to do with shareholders requesting the direction to be kind of what the modern socio-economic messaging is. And I think they've done a good job of skirting that line, especially with something like Star Wars Outlaws, because Outlaws, none of the gameplay was necessarily changed from what by, including these things. Obviously, I think the redesign of or changing the way the actress looks in the game was kind of an obvious one, considering they didn't do that with the other actors. That's kind of like, okay, she's pretty, let's make her not as pretty, one of those things. But I think they've been doing a good job skirting that sort of, or balancing having to deal with that. So, Halo moved to UE5 too because there's no more of the original creative team with Bungie. Or it's not even Bungie anymore. It's Halo Studios now, because I think it was 343 and they changed it. And that's the same thing that's going on with CD Projekt Red. They're now working on that Witcher 4. But they're now using Unreal Engine 5, and none of the original Witcher devs are working on it. So that's why, for me, I'm on Team Guillemot Brothers here. And it's interesting because I feel like they're a AAA publisher that doesn't make AAA games sometimes. For instance, like Starlink, amazing game. No other game exists like Starlink. I've played it on 3 different platforms. Amazing game. Division, and I'm glad those Division devs made Outlaws, because Division has some of the tightest controls. I've heard the crew was awesome. I haven't played it. And then they've got, For Honor, that's been out for a while. Anyway. Okay, moving on. Path of Exile 2 doubles all-time player peak of original game. This is also coming out with news that over the weekend, Steam saw the largest... They broke records for largest concurrent number of players, and I think it was like 40 million. It probably has to do with this game. So Path of Exile 2 is the sequel to Path of Exile. And what's interesting, it's a Diablo-like. I played Path of Exile. I think it's pretty cool. I don't always spend a lot of time in these games. Like, I did play a lot of Torchlight. I don't know if it was 1 or 2. I played a lot of Grim Dawn. Grim Dawn's a really good one of these. And I played a little bit of Path of Exile. Actually, let's see if I can search. Path of Exile, yeah, it's showing 24 minutes, which is not a lot on Steam. And then on Xbox, no achievements either. So I wonder how much a lot I played of this. But it's a good game. And it has a more serious look to it compared to like a Diablo. That's the other thing I like about it. And let me go back to that. So this is taken off. The thing is, it's early access. And that's the same thing. There's another game that's in this kind of view, but it's more of a Souls-like. It's called No Rest for the Wicked. Also came out this year. But they're early access, and I've gotten to the point where I just don't play early access games unless it is something new and original. For instance, the Starship Troopers multiplayer game. I would do an early access of 16-player Starship Troopers, and that game's turned out great. I haven't played it a lot recently, but... okay. Here's some other interesting news. that Kirby Planet Robobot is coming to Nintendo Switch, which is neat because that was a 3DS game. And it was an enjoyable 3DS game. I vividly remember playing through that game, the time and place. I remember the job I had. I brought my 3DS, and on my lunch break, I'd go play it. I remember the apartment I was in when I was playing it. Was it an apartment? When I was playing it, yeah. And I think that came out. Actually, let's do something here. Oh, you know what? It wouldn't have that on there. It would not. Right? Yeah, this Exophase does not have the 3DS stuff, which is unfortunate because I also put time in that Sonic Generations 3DS game. Wow, I can't believe I played 32 hours of Sonic Generations. The 3DS one was great. Too bad I can't track that stuff. I would really love to track 3DS games. I know you can track DS games. You know what? I wonder if you could track 3DS games with the emulator. Maybe that's actually the case. I just haven't done any of those in the emulator because you can't track DS games in an emulator. So, Light No Fire. Yeah, I have heard about that, but it reminds me of No Man's Sky. Oh, it's the same okay, that's why it reminds me of that. Yeah, it's same developer. Yeah, I don't know what to think. I'm probably going to wait and see when it comes out. I guess it's almost like a No Man's Sky, but a fantasy. Yeah, set on a fantasy planet the size of Earth. Yeah, we'll see what people say. I mean, because if people are saying this is fun... Lately, I've realized I tend to stray away from open-ended games. Like, even V-Rising. Let's see, I have 38 hours of that, yeah, on record. Like, this is almost an open-ended game where I got to a point where it's just like the same thing over and over, and I'm like, okay, I feel like after 30 hours of a game, usually I get my fill. That was the same thing with Vampire Survivors. And I just pushed myself. Although, I still need to consider this for when I do my Game of the Year discussion. Yeah, because this was great. This was a lot of fun. Oh, look, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is ready to play, but I have to go to my full-time job. So I will probably have to do this later. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Tomorrow will be between that. It'll be between that and... Let me search. Power Rangers game, which, yeah, it's on sale. Yeah, and actually for the next hour or whatever. So tomorrow you can still pick it up on day one on sale, which I'll probably do that. I don't always pre-order games early. I'll usually buy them because it could be that it comes out, but I'm like, I'm really doing other things. Yeah, I think this is gonna be fun. It's funny how these screenshots are not showing a lot of the, because apparently how it works is throughout the game, every couple levels will be these 3D sections. There's a couple different ones. There's ones where you're like in the Zord, Megazord, and then there's ones where you're like driving these jets or motorcycle things. I don't know. Yeah, so that's definitely gonna be tomorrow. So. Oh, Talos Moves, it's excellent. The devs of Hello Games have come a long way. No Man's Sky is astonishing now. Yeah, I've heard and seen, and I've jumped in to try to play it, but then there's just so much going on. I'm like, eh. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how that goes. So, thanks for watching. Yeah, so tomorrow we'll probably have some gameplay going on, either Indiana Jones or Power Rangers, maybe both. I'll probably have already played some Indiana Jones tonight, so I can get to a good section to maybe show 15 minutes of that, and then maybe 15 minutes of Power Rangers or something. So, all right, I'm going to head to work. Have a good rest of the day. We will talk later.